Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to do a beautiful poem by Robert Frost called After Apple Picking. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin this poetic journey. Robert Frost is a famous American poet. He lived between 1874 to 1963 and he is known for his rural and regional themes. His poetry often reflects on the complexities of human life and the choices that individuals often have to make. After Apple Picking was published in the year 1914 in Robert Frost's collection called North of Boston. The poem reflects on Frost's keen interest in rural life and nature. It explores the themes of fatigue, regret, and the passage of time, using the act of apple picking as a metaphor for life's choices and the results that come out of the choices we make. Now, as is the trend, I always tell you the central message of the poem first so that from the very beginning you have a little bit of idea about what is it that you're going to see or expect from the poem. So the central message of this poem is that it revolves around the inevitability of weariness and the consequences of our life's choices. You do not have control about whether you want to be tired or not. There are going to be situations in life that are going to leave you exhausted. The act of apple picking becomes a metaphor for the decisions and the actions we take in life, leading to a sense of tiredness and reflection on what has been achieved. Now let's start decoding the lines of the poem. My long two-pointed ladder sticking through a tree toward a heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it. And there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough, but I'm done with apple picking now. So the speaker describes the last remains, the last act of apple picking activity. The ladder reaching towards the heaven signifies the effort and the amount of hard work that has been involved in the process of apple picking. The unfilled barrel and the remaining apples symbolize the tasks, the opportunities that you could not grab, the tasks which are still incomplete. So the speaker declares that he has finished the work of apple picking, suggesting the completion of an important phase in his life. Next he says, the essence of winter sleep is on the night, the scent of apples I'm drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. So here the speaker describes that change, that transition from the active season of apple picking to the winter which is slow now. The scent of apples still is there in the air, suggesting that the speaker is in a dream-like state. He can still get the scent of apples though apple picking season is over. The strangeness in his sight represents the tiredness from the act of apple picking. The image of looking through a pane of glass adds a layer of detachment, as if the speaker is observing the world from a distance. It melted and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dream was about to take. So here we see that the speaker is referring to a piece of ice he held which melted and it broke. Now this could symbolize how dreams and our hopes in life are very, very short-lived. One moment you have a dream, the next moment it disappears. Now despite this situation, the speaker is already on his way to sleep, indicating a sense of inevitability in the change from activity to rest. Even though he knows his dreams might break, but still he has no other option but to rest, because the phase or the time of life where he could perform activity of apple picking is over. He has a premonition about the nature of his dream, suggesting that he is self-aware and his subconscious thoughts occupy his mind. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend. So the speaker over here describes a dream where the apples are magnified, they are becoming larger than life, highlighting each and every specific detail about the apple. The physical strain, the tiredness from apple picking is still felt in his arch, that there is still body pain because of the amount of labor it requires to pick apples, emphasizing the impact of his past actions. The ladder's pressure on the instep and the swaying motion evoke a sense of instability. Even though he was involved in the activity of apple picking, there was a lot of instability in life, and he had to take a lot of labor while he was performing the act of apple picking. Now always remember, there are two levels of meaning that are going side by side. One is the literal act of apple picking, and on the other hand you have to understand each stanza on the deeper level of meaning about life when you are taking decisions, when you are involved in the activity of performing a task. And I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in, for I have had too much of apple picking. I'm overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. So over here, the sound of apples being stored in the cellar indicates the continuing consequences of the speaker's efforts. Once long ago he performed the act of apple picking, but the fact that they are going to be stored in the cellar shows that the result of your actions you face long after the action has been performed. However, he expresses the tiredness, the regret, realizing that great harvest that he once desired has left him overtired. This has happened with me also in life. I was really wanting something in terms of achieving a milestone in life, and after I had achieved it, the next year was a terrible one in terms of how tired and exhausted I got. So the pursuit of his ambitions has taken a toll on him, and the continued arrival of apples serves as a reminder of the consequences of the results of his choices in life. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down and not let fall. For all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the apple cider heap as of no worth. So the sheer abundance of apples over here emphasizes what a big task he has performed of apple picking. The repetition of 10,000 suggests the overwhelming, uncountable quantity of apples, the produce that came that year. So the speaker reflects on the responsibility of handling each apple carefully, and any that fall, regardless of the condition it is in, it still has a possibility of going to the apple cider heap, emphasizing a sense of worthlessness or loss. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. So the speaker over here is anticipating that there is going to be some kind of disturbance in his sleep, and wonders if this disturbance is similar to the woodchuck's long hibernation. The reference to the woodchuck over here introduces a connection between the cycle of nature and the speaker's own experience. The uncertainty about the nature of sleep reflects the ambiguity, the uncertainty that surrounds the consequences of a life lived, and the inevitability of a deeper, perhaps eternal sleep. Let us quickly discuss the major themes of the poem. Now, Puri serves as a symbolic backdrop which represents how there is existence of spirituality and cultural richness on one hand, and the reality of life, creating many layers to the poem. Now, added to this, we have the theme of faith and despair, because we see there is coexistence of faith and despair, depicting individuals who are seeking peace and guidance on a spiritual level on one hand, and on the other hand there are people who are still struggling to fulfill the basic necessities of their life. Next, it talks about mortality and transience. The poem delves into the theme of mortality using the powerful imagery of decay, death, and funeral pyres. Next, it also talks about socio-economic disparity, divide or difference, because we see how surrounded by the great temple at Puri are the poverty-stricken individuals who are trying to find a place in society by just trying to eat something to have their basic necessities sorted out. And lastly, we see how the poem talks about personal and collective suffering. That is, it gives descriptions of individuals who are facing hardships, and it is also showing a collective suffering. How we see that the poem mentions there are crouched faces without names. So the poem explores both on a personal level and on a collective level that each human being is suffering, whether it is on a spiritual level, physical level, whatever it is. But the basic necessity is to have accommodation for humanity, to have a sensitivity for human beings. There are multiple levels of layers of meaning in this poem. First is fatigue and weariness. The poem explores that physical and emotional exhaustion that comes from the hard work that we put in life, and he uses the example of apple picking over here to explain this better. The speaker also reflects on the results or the effects of the choices we make in life. Sometimes it might be a great harvest, sometimes it may not support us, but we still have to accept it. Next, the changing seasons from the active phase of apple picking to the dormant, slow-going winter symbolizes how life is never a straight line. There are going to be ups and downs. You have to accept life as it is. The blurred lines between the speaker's dream and waking reality highlight how there is an interplay in the poem about the hopes and aspirations that a person has and the reality. And lastly, the reference to the woodchuck's sleep and the changing seasons highlight the cyclical nature of life. As I told you, there is never going to be a straight line. Sometimes good, sometimes balance. You need to learn to strike a balance between the two extremes in our life. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.